Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. If you have never seen my face before, my name is Jenna Forrester and I'm an Olympic Australian swimmer. Today I'm going to be covering a topic that I think a lot of athletes struggle with, and that is separating your identity from the sport. I've pretty much been swimming my entire life. When I was younger, I did a lot of other things too. I was musical, I played piano and double bass, and I think even at one point the violin. I did cross country and gymnastics. I was in the drama club. But once I moved into high school, so for reference that's year 7 in Australia, all I pretty much did was swim. This meant that throughout high school and even up until now, I've always been known as a swimmer. It's the first thing that anyone will ask me about, and for a while it seemed like that was the only thing that people were interested in. It definitely made me proud to have all my hard work and efforts and everything like that recognized, but it was also really hard. It definitely put a lot of pressure on me, and it felt like I could only make people happy if I was performing well, which is crazy saying that out loud, but that's just how I felt, and I'm sure it's how a lot of other people feel as well. The thing is, I've always struggled to define myself outside of the sport, so I don't really know how I thought other people would see me as more than an athlete if I didn't see myself as that to begin with. I'm going to walk you through a story about my struggle with my identity and explain how I turned it around. I also want to explain why having an identity outside of the sport can actually help you get better results. If you've ever been pursuing a goal, you probably know how much sacrifice goes into actually making your dreams a reality. From lots of early mornings to prioritizing recovery instead of seeing your friends or doing a fun activity. A lot of the time it can feel like your whole world revolves around your sport. When sport is going well, you feel great, but when it's not going so well, that's when a lot of problems start to arise. Back in 2023, I had a huge breakout year. I was performing the best I ever had very consistently, and this resulted in me winning my first international medal at the World Championships. When I came back home and I tried to get into the next season in 2024, I had a huge shift in mindset. Instead of success bringing me joy and making me proud, it started to feel like more of an expectation. I felt so much pressure, and I convinced myself that my year of training and racing in 2023 must have just been a fluke because I had no idea how I was going to do that ever again. Because swimming was my whole identity and I thought that was what people really cared about, I had a feeling that I was just going to let everyone down. This definitely caused me to spiral. Keep in mind, I'm also talking about an Olympic year here, which is probably the most critical year in an athlete's career. Because I felt such an enormous pressure, and I also had a couple other things going on outside of the pool, training was just not fun anymore. I started to have pretty regular panic attacks, which meant I couldn't really do all my sessions properly. I couldn't do my race warm-up when it came to competition. The major meet that we had before Olympic trials were the national championships, and I think that was the worst I've performed in my entire life. I swam 15 seconds over my PB, and that meant I was 9 seconds over the qualifying time for Olympics. I definitely thought this meant that the Olympic dream was over. I felt like I had completely embarrassed myself. Weirdly enough, it almost took the pressure off though. Yes, I still wasn't in a good place mentally because my identity was still wrapped around the sport, but it meant I thought people were no longer expecting me to perform. I kind of had already let everyone down. I know this sounds counterproductive, but it meant that I could train more freely because I wasn't afraid of failure, because in my mind, I'd already failed pretty badly. I was training better, and by the time trials rolled around, I knew that it couldn't be worse than nationals. I ended up sneaking under the qualifying time, meaning I got to go to the Olympics. At the Olympic Games, I came 9th. I missed the final by 0.1 of a second. I had swum 8 seconds slower than I had the previous year when I won my bronze medal at Worlds, and the time I swam in 2023 would have actually put me on the podium. I'm not saying this to say that I deserve to be on the podium and I should have been able to do it. I'm not saying that at all. What I am saying though is that this made me realize how closely my identity was tied to the sport and how much a problem it had become. It makes it almost inevitable that you're gonna crumble under the pressure. After this realization, I knew that something had to change. Coming back after Olympics, I didn't necessarily take time off from the sport, but I reduced my training load by a lot. It gave me breathing space to realize the reasons why I swam outside of accolades and performances. To list a few, the reasons why I swam: for my health, my friendships. I enjoy challenging myself. I think there's so many lessons to be learned about perseverance, and it allows for self-discovery. I also swim because I want to be a positive role model. I know that elite athletes really inspired me to chase my dreams when I was younger, so I want to do the same. During this period of time, I also rediscovered fun parts about my life outside of the sport. I had more time to hang out with my friends and my family. I also started to unlock a more creative side to myself. I taught myself how to do makeup. I really enjoy the practice of putting it on. I don't wear it that often, but I really enjoy the process of it. I started to paint a bit more, just doing silly little paintings. And believe me when I say that they are not good. I'm not even trying to be humble here. They are not good. But once again, it was just the process of doing something that I enjoyed that really made me happy. I also competed at the short course championships after doing next to no training. I knew I wasn't going to perform well when I went there, and that was part of the challenge. Finding love for being at competitions and seeing my friends and not focusing on my results because I knew that they weren't going to be quick. I also started to make creative videos, and that has led me to making my YouTube channel. I really found my passion for swimming and my passion for life again, which was absolutely awesome and exactly what I needed. Okay, moving on to January of this year, 2025. I returned to training and I was ready to go. But unfortunately, after a couple weeks, I actually injured my back. This meant I was unable to train properly for a while, and I also had a long, slow build back into full training. My back injury meant that I was only at full training for about 2.5 to 3 months before racing at the World Trials in June. For reference, normally our prep is also around 9 or 10 months, so 2.5 to 3 months is an incredibly short prep that I have never done before in my entire life. Yes, this did stress me out a little bit, but I really felt like I had nothing to lose anymore. Because my identity wasn't entirely tied to the sport, I became more fearless in training. I was not afraid to push myself and see what happened, and ultimately that translated into my performances in the pool. Training and racing was fun again. I enjoyed going, I enjoyed seeing my friends, and I enjoyed the challenge of seeing what I could do every day. Even if it was slow or I missed my times or it wasn't perfect, I just enjoyed the process of it. This meant that the outcome this year was a lot better than last year. I made the team, got the opportunity to compete at the World Championships, and I actually walked away with a silver medal. It was the fastest time I have swum since 2023. It was 7 seconds faster than my swim at the Olympic Games, and I really believe it comes down to my mindset and how that allowed me to push in training and in racing. Even though the prep was so short this year, by broadening my identity, it really took the pressure off, and that translated into results. There's a saying that a happy swimmer is a fast swimmer, and I cannot agree more after this year. I'll also give you some concrete steps and tips about what you can do, because broadening your identity is a work in progress, and these are some of the things that I did to help. So the first one is to explore your passion. So this is what I was talking about before with the painting and the makeup and the content creation. Most things I try, I am not very good at. This is obvious because it's probably the first time I'm trying them. This was really difficult to accept in the beginning because I am an athlete. I want to be the best I can be, and that's what I'm trying to do every time I jump in a pool. Letting go of the feeling that I have to be good at what I do or else it's not enough and I shouldn't even bother. Letting go of that mindset was really critical when trying new things. And I think it's an important part of finding your identity, just doing things because you love them, not because you're necessarily good at them. The next piece of advice would be to find your people. Surrounding yourself with people who love you and support you regardless of your results really makes a difference. Standing up behind the blocks at the World Championships this year, I knew that I had nothing to lose. I knew that my family and my friends wouldn't look at me differently, whether I came first, last, it wouldn't change anything for them. Having that unconditional support really makes stressful situations a lot easier and also makes tough moments feel a little bit better, like you're not so alone. Third piece of advice is to reframe challenges. Having a growth mindset is so important just for life in general. Not everything's going to go your way all the time. Learning to not chase perfection. This is a weird way to think about it, but this is just how it works in my mind. But I sometimes think of myself as a sponge of positivity, let's call it that. For me, I just want to soak up as much knowledge as I can, and that requires both good and bad experiences to get the most out of yourself. Seeing myself as like this sponge of learning makes setbacks seem a lot easier because I know that whatever I'm learning now, I can apply that to the future and be better than ever before. This sounds so cheesy, but it's true. Embracing a growth mindset really helps you in all aspects of your life, whether it's work, school, sport, relationships, and seeing yourself as a work in progress really does make a difference. This also ties back into not fearing imperfection, because life is so much more than accolades and medals, which brings me to my next point of protecting your mental health. The best thing I could have done for myself last year was give myself space to breathe after the Olympic Games. It allowed me to find things that make me happy outside of sport and showed me that there is so much to explore beyond swimming. It's really important to find a good balance and get help when you need it. For a long time, I kind of just swept things under the rug and hoped that it would get better, which it obviously didn't because I wasn't doing anything to help it get better. I think it's also important to be vulnerable, and this goes back to the point I was making earlier about how if I don't even know my identity out of the sport, how can I expect other people to also see me as more than an athlete? If you want to have real connections with people, it's important to open up about yourself and let them see different sides of you. That'll allow your relationships to be so much deeper, and it'll really take the pressure off because you know that your closest family and friends see you as more than an athlete, and you can take them along for the journey of self-discovery. I really hope that you can get something out of this, because this has been such a struggle for me my entire sporting career, and I don't think I have it figured out now by any means, but things are a lot better. And once again, a happy athlete is, I can't really say fast athlete, but a happy athlete is a better athlete. I feel like that's how you would translate happy swimmer as a fast swimmer into that saying. I don't know. Anyway, sport can be a huge part of your life. It's a huge part of mine, and I wouldn't really have it any other ways, or else I wouldn't be swimming still. But it should never be your whole identity. There's so much more to you as a person, and I know that I'm only going to be swimming for a fraction of my life. After that, I'm going to move on and explore other things. It goes to show that I am a real human being. There's so many opportunities and life lessons that you can take away from sport, and I'm so grateful to have gone through this journey. I'd also love to hear if anyone has any hobbies that they think I can try out, because I've tried out quite a few and not many have stuck with me. Last year I tried the drums. I want to pick it back up because I do have a drum set, but I have not for a very long time. I also went on a bike ride. I've tried playing games like on the Nintendo Switch. I've tried drawing. I'm currently trying to get into journaling. So if anyone has any other ideas of hobbies that I could try and probably be bad at, please let me know, because I'm always open to new ideas. If you've made it this far, thank you so much for watching. You're a real one. And if you've liked the video, I guess you can let me know by liking it. And if you want to see more, you can subscribe. You probably know this whole spiel because it's at the end of almost every YouTube video ever. But once again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll catch you next time.